Drew.
Yes.
Thanks for meeting with us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, man.
So we're in Nashville,
Yes.
and we've, on the first few legs of the trip, been in a lot of independent venues, and we're raising money also for Musicians on Call. So this is the first interview we've done with a volunteer for Musicians on Call, so thanks so much for doing it.
Happy to do it.
And I just wanted to kind of start by asking a little bit about you.
Sure.
And your career in music, I guess. So what age did you start playing?
I started when I was 7 years old, and I had a very musical family, and so I started kind of banging around on my dad's old classical guitar, nylon strings, everything like that. And it had dents and holes in places that it shouldn't have been, dents and holes and stuff like that. It was beat up, man. But it got me thinking like that I really, really connected with what the guitar could do, and I was listening to stuff that, at the time, I'm from Columbia, South Carolina. Yeah. And at that time, Hootie and the Blowfish was huge, and so they had a big impact on me as well. And yeah, man. So those two factors, my dad's old guitar and Hootie and the Blowfish, man, that was a launching pad, man.
They were your biggest influence, would you say?
I mean, just starting off, absolutely. As I've grown up, I found. We talked about a little bit. You started talking about the blues. Yeah. Growing up in the South, there's blues. You had the hip hop, R&B, soul. You had so much of that factor, and definitely present. My dad's record collection. My mom was also in the church choir, so I had so much music just circling around me all the time. My dad's family, his mom was in community theater, so it was always something. And that just kind of trickled down to me. Yeah,
that's nice. I think when you've got a musical family and you get encouraged in that sense, it's a big thing, because as like the interviews we do for the website, there's normally two types of people. It's the people, who's, we were talking the other day actually in Cleveland to Patrick Droney, and Patrick was saying, his dad was a guitar player and sort of really influenced how he plays guitar, and saying that, the solo should fit the song, it shouldn't be something in its own right.
Yes, certainly.
And then, so you get those, and then there are other sort of people I interview where they're like, my family wanted nothing to do with it, and I was this weird kid who just sat in his room playing all day long.
You kind of have both sides of it, where the family is very supportive, or the ones that you're the outlier, the outcast, and that sort of gives you the fuel as well to try and prove them all wrong. That's
and there's a definite, I mean, listening to your music, there's a real blues influence there.
Definitely,
and I think the longer I've sort of interviewed musicians and everything like this, and I know there's that saying that everything goes back to the blues.
It does.
It's really true.
It does.
It
does, man.
You say like listen to your musician, your favorite musician, and then go and listen to the people who they listen to. Yep. And if you trace that all the way back, it always goes back to the blues.
Back to the blues, man. That's where it all began. Everything. And that's a beautiful part of it, because the blues is like it's so simple, man. It's like playing it. It's so soothing to me, and I don't know if that's what connected me to it originally, but like something about a blues solo stops me in my tracks every time, man. They hit that one bent note, and you're just like, oh my gosh, like I'm in. I'm solo bot. What do you need?
And it's as hard, I would say, to do that than like there are some real technicians out there on guitar at the minute, and I think and that's got its place definitely, but then some of those blues guys can do so much with so little.
Oh my gosh. Absolutely, man. I mean, you go back to the Robert Johnson, and then you come up through like the Eric Clapton era, and then you come up through, obviously glossing over a lot of them, but I mean, Aerosmith started as a blues band. Yeah. Like they started as a blues band. Rolling Stones started as a blues band. Yeah. Like you have these massive, icons of the rock and roll world that all began literally just covering blues songs. Yeah. And so that, then fast forward obviously up till current day, you got Gary Clark Jr., Marcus King, these guys that are just doing great stuff on guitar, man.
Kingfish, have you seen that guy? That guy is crazy.
Man. Unbelievable. I saw him last Americana Fest last year, and blew me away. Incredible.
We saw him at, we've seen him a couple of times now. We saw him at Bourbon and Beyond last year.
Oh, nice.
And it was really funny watching it. And Andy was at Schultz Fest actually. But at Bourbon and Beyond's like this huge crowd and everything, and you see the stage getting set up by roadies and stuff. Yeah. He just wanders on the stage with his guitar in a soft case. Oh, I love it. Gets it out himself, and everyone's like, "Who's this guy?" And then he just like blows everybody
away. Shreds the stage apart. Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
So okay, you picked up a guitar, and then, so how long was it, would you say, until you started writing? Did you?
Right away.
Yes.
It was obviously these songs, they weren't cohesive. So I should also say, I picked up the guitar when I was 7. I learned to play guitar when I was like 13.
Okay, yeah.
So there was a good gap in there that were pretty painful years for my parents or whoever was listening at the time. And so I had that, and I started writing immediately because I was looking at, Green Day and Hootie and the alternative scene of the 90s and being like, I want to do what they're doing.
Yeah.
So all of my, attempts at writing a song were just rip-offs of their songs.
Yeah.
Same melody, everything like that, just me putting my words on there and being like, this is awesome, I can write a song, this is really easy, what's the big deal? So to write my first song I ever wrote, my first original, I think I was like 15 maybe, somewhere around there. And typical angsty teenager ballad about something that was important to me at the time, that's whatever that might have been. But yeah, it took me a while to actually finally put one together.
And then did you start playing out at the same time?
I did. I got lucky that I was in my church's, it was a youth band.
Yeah.
And the youth director was like having his band's one and only concert they'd ever played in the gymnasium at the church gym.
Yeah.
At gymnasium at the church. You get it, yeah.
Yeah.
And he asked me to open for him.
Yeah.
And so that was my very first one. I got in there and I played all originals. And I remember my mom being like, you should play some songs that people know the words to.
Yeah.
I was like, thanks.
The lovely way a mother can
appreciate that. Yeah, she's like supportive, but yet, a couple notes. I got a couple notes for you. And I tried to play one, I remember I tried to play one cover. It was a Dave Matthews cover. And I forgot the words. I forgot the first words. The first line of the song, completely forgot. So I just bailed on it and played another original.
Another one of your own. That's good though. Ultimately, I think that's a good way to end it.
Yeah, exactly, man. So that was the first time.
Yeah.
I was probably 16 at the time. And then I had met some other guys at my high school. They also played bass. I had a guy named David Rossi, whose father was a music instructor at the University of South Carolina, which I grew up about a mile from. And another guy named Adam Ruffin who played guitar. So myself, David on bass, Adam on guitar, and then we had whoever could play drums. Come on.
It's always the hardest.
It,
it's always the hardest element to fill.
Exactly, man.
And then it's always I find there'll be a band together and you'll play, and it's impossible to find drummers. And then a drummer comes and you're like, now it sounds like a band.
Absolutely. It sounds real.
I'm such a proponent of drummers is so important.
Absolutely, man. Yeah. Especially you think about the blues scene, rhythm and blues. You gotta have a rhythm section, man.
You've got to have a great rhythm
very
section.
Important.
Yeah.
So I did that, and then went to college. Went to the University of Georgia for college. I was attracted to them because the music scene of Athens is so legendary.
Yeah.
I mean, REM, B-52s, Drive-By Truckers, we were talking about this. They just have such a rich history there, and now you have bands like Future Birds and stuff like that coming out of there, which are, those guys were with me in college there, and now they've gone on to do incredible things, and they're still continuing to do them. And it was cool, man, just going there and having the experience that I had in Columbia at the time I had it in the 90s when Hootie was so big and they were attracting so many big artists to that area where normally Columbia wasn't always a target to be routed through touring-wise. So I had that, and then to go to Athens and find this next melting pot of not only people but genres and styles and everything musical. So that was cool, man, and did that and played all through college. Same deal, met up with guys that I would play shows with and collaborate with and all that sort of thing, and then eventually kind of made my way here.
Yeah, I was going to say that you made the move to Nashville.
Yeah, man, moved here January 5th of 2011.
Wow, okay, that's the year we moved to the US.
Oh, nice,
Yeah, we
man.
moved to Chicago in 2011, it was October, I think.
Oh, nice, dude. Nice. So you got there right in time for winter, huh?
Yeah, we were right in time. Actually, they were mild. The first two were mild.
Oh, that's
and
nice.
then I take...
So you're like, this is nothing, man.
Exactly, I take responsibility for the 2013 one, which I remember going to Kirst, I'm like, what's all this about these Chicago winters? This is no work from the UK. And then we got one where it was like called the Polar Vortex. That was rough.
Yeah, that was rough. Oh,
really
man.
rough. But yeah, you sheltered a bit from it here. Yep. So then, I mean, obviously the music scene here. When I first came, when we came here from the the UK, this was always somewhere I wanted to visit. And I remember the first time I came, and it kind of didn't disappoint. There's nowhere like that in the UK. It's just this like city that just bleeds music out of every pore all the time, 24 hours a day.
Yeah, it's
crazy.
When was that? When was the first time you came here?
That would have been 2012.
2012.
Probably.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So it was a lot different back then too, which is the strangest thing. I mean, it's only been 10 years, but like none of this was here. This street's about the same, but like a bunch of the shops aren't have changed.
Yeah.
The scene of Nashville back then was either you were downtown, which is about a mile that way, or you were in Midtown, about a half mile that way, or like East Nashville, and then a couple bars in like Germantown and 12 South. And now there's, I couldn't list
spread out everywhere.
And so it's been cool to be here and be a part of a growing city, but it definitely has its growing pains. I mean, you have like the you know, the traffic for one. The traffic is everywhere now.
The hen nights or bachelorette parties, is it you call it?
Well, that was even going on when I first moved here, man. That was that ball had already started rolling, but now it's unstoppable. And you know, cost of living, everything like that. But it comes along with being in a growing city, and it is really cool to see it firsthand. Literally watch the city get bigger. And with that, when I moved here, what shocked me the most was the amount of variety of music that was here. Not just obviously Nashville's known for country music, and there is a ton of country music because the country music industry is here. But there's so many different genres of music being played around the city. You just gotta know where to go hear it.
That was a sin for me actually. When we came in 2012, I remember posting something online and all, like friends back in the UK going, "Oh, so that means you're really into country music now?" I'm like, it's not.
Not always.
Slow down a little bit. It's not all country music.
But also,
and then I brought a couple of my friends here actually when they came over to visit, and they absolutely loved it. They really enjoyed it.
Well, especially because like we get so spoiled here, hearing these musicians that are the best in the world. And you know, on a random Tuesday, they're making a couple extra bucks. You know, just playing at a bar and having a time of their life, playing whatever they want because they're so good. They can literally go across any genre and play anything. And so I think that's been really cool. And like, you got to forget that until you go maybe somewhere else that maybe doesn't have that I don't know, that standard, that level. And then you come back and you're like, this is unbelievable.
I found it a little bit. I loved it, and at the same time, I got a little bit depressed because I play guitar like hobbyist, not professional. And I came here, and similar to what you're saying, we're like walking around middle of the day, and there's a guy playing on the street. I'm like, you're a million times better than I'm ever going to be.
It's like, wild, man. You'll hear. I remember one of the first rounds I ever went to. There's a place down called Douglas Corner. And a guy was up on stage playing, and it was one of those like welcome to Nashville moments where I was just like, what am I even doing? And like to my ignorance, I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna have a couple of those, and I'll be. I have those like once a month. I'll hear somebody and be like, what am I doing, dude? Like, I was at a friend's show 2 weeks ago, and I left there just being like, I got a lot of work to do, man. Which is like, you know, can it be either way? It could be encouraging or discouraging. And you have to take that as sort of like, you know, you have to use it as motivation. Like, why did you move here? Okay, then get better. That's what
makes you step your level up.
Exactly, man.
And it's funny. Someone said similar. It was there's a guy called Ben Jaffe who used to play in a band called Honey Honey. They moved here, I think, for a year or so, and I remember talking to him about it, and he said it was like that he got here and he's like, I've got to step up. Like I've really got to practice every day now. And then you just see some of the guys, like the other guy, and we were trying to set something up with him. Unfortunately, it didn't come off. The guy that just amazes me when I watch him is Guthrie Trapp. Do you know that guy?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
That guy is like, he's like a magician.
Man. He really is, man.
I
saw him for the first time. We were in Key West for a songwriter festival.
We were there.
The BMI Songwriter Festival? This would have been like 2015, I think.
That was probably the one we were at.
Oh, dude. And I went to some late night blues jam. And I left there forever remembering the name Guthrie Trapp. Like, it's unbelievable.
He is. He's phenomenal. So, we're going to talk about musicians on call a little bit. So, and just for the purpose of this video, and I'll explain it a bit. You know, Musicians on Call is a charity that was set up really to send musicians into hospitals to play for patients. So it's, and I've said this a couple of times when I'm speaking about it, in my mind, exactly what music is meant to be for, you know, to take someone out of themselves when they're in a place that they don't want to be. and there's a program here in Nashville. I believe you've been part of it from very early on, right?
Since 2014, I think.
Yeah.
Somewhere around there. Yeah, man. Yeah.
And which hospital do you volunteer at? Or
I've done mostly Vanderbilt, but I've done cardiac and the VA.
Yeah.
Both at Vandy. And kind of just, man, it's been exactly what you said. It's what music is for. Like the healing power of music, I believe in a lot. I mean, whether it's as not to say small, but whether it's as basic as just hearing a song on the radio that connects to you. You know, you're having a bad day, you hear a song and it cheers you up.
Yeah.
It's that on so many different levels.
Yeah.
You have these people that are literally having some of the worst days of their lives.
Yeah.
And you're able to go in there and they are open enough and willing enough to share that with you.
Yeah.
You know, you have the guide with you, and the guide goes in first, and they make sure it's okay. They ask, "Hey, I have a volunteer musician here. Can you come in and play a song for you?" And the person has a choice; they can say yes or no. And a lot of times, those people in the hospital don't have a lot of choices. They can't say no to a lot of stuff. They're kind of being told, "Hey, you're going to do this. We're going to do this. That's it."
Yeah.
So they could be like, I love this, or no, man, like I want to be alone right now.
Yeah.
And I love that. So when people say no, I never take it personally. It's like, awesome, man, have your time alone.
Yeah.
Next song. So that sort of idea, and then you go in, and these people will share this moment with you, and you're in there with them, and their families sometimes, and stuff like that. And it's so powerful. And you have such a wide range of reactions. Sometimes a person just kind of thank you, and that's kind of but see you later.
Yeah.
But like sometimes you're in there, and the family wants they're talking to you, and they want to know so much, and they're asking all about you, and they're so intrigued by what Musicians on Call is, and that's so cool because it's from that one moment, sharing that one song, 3.5 minutes of whatever it may be that you played for them. You had that connection with this whole group of people.
Yeah.
Oh, it's beautiful, man.
It's incredibly powerful. Like, and I'm a guide in Chicago, and it's like I've seen all that whole spectrum of it, and sometimes it makes me chuckle. Like the hospital I volunteer at was a children's hospital, and I've seen, I've been in rooms where people it's almost brought them to tears, and then in a room where, the person's mum said that's the first time she's smiled in a week.
Oh my gosh.
And like that stuff, you have to take a moment sometimes when you come out of the room. And then I've also been in a room, I remember, with one of the musicians, Craig, and he's a great musician. He played this song for this kid, and we were like, he's in the middle of the song, and the kid's like going like this to him. He's like, "What's up, buddy?" He's like, "Can you move out the way so I can see the TV?"
See?
Yeah.
See? It's just
the whole
it's their
spectrum.
moment, man.
Yeah,
it's their moment.
They could do whatever.
I had my favorite interaction was with a patient. This would have been, it was early on in my volunteering with him. And like the guide goes in first, and we're at the corner, so like we're right by the nurses' station, and then all the nurses are like, "She didn't just go in there, did she?" And I was like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Oh no!" So they're all like hovering around the door, waiting for her to come out. And I'm like, "This is gonna be good." So she comes out, and she's in there for a while because normally, the routine is like it's a 15-second spiel, like she's in there for probably like 2 minutes, and I'm like, "Oh man." She comes out, she's like, "I think you can go in." I'm like, all right. So I walk in, and this lady was saying that she was Elvis's like great aunt or something like that. Something, I don't know.
Awesome.
Sure, which like in Nashville, who knows?
Yeah,
but like,
maybe
are you also like 1,000 years old? I don't know.
Yeah.
But like, either way. So go in, and this lady's sitting up in bed, and so I'm kind of saying, what kind of music would you like to hear? I had XYZ, and one of the songs I have an Elvis song.
Yeah.
So I tell her that. She's like, let's hear that one. I'm like, perfect, let's go. So I start playing, and I play it. It's That's All Right, Mama.
Yeah.
But I play it more blues. I play a strip it way down, real slow, all that stuff like that. And so mid song, she starts like conducting me orchestra style. Like so I'm playing like dun dun dun, dun and she's going. I'm trying not to laugh, man. The guide's trying not to laugh. I'm trying to keep a straight face. Let's get through it. So I get done, and she goes, "Well, you could use some lessons."
Oh, nice.
And it was amazing, man. It was so cool. And you have that, and then I had another one. I was up on I can't remember which unit it was. Doesn't matter. And the guy was a trumpet player.
Yeah.
I didn't have a trumpet with him, but I started playing "At Last" by Etta James, and he started playing an air trumpet solo. So like playing and then but making the noise with his mouth.
Yeah.
And it was insane, and the wife was in there. It was so cool.
Yeah.
So you have these amazing interactions with the people in there, I'll never forget that.
Yeah.
You know?
No,
it's
me
so cool.
either. And I was really nervous about when I first volunteered. They asked me which hospital I wanted to do. It was when the program was new in Chicago, and there was a children's hospital or like a seniors hospital kind of thing. And I said probably the seniors, because I don't know if I could cope with some of the kids stuff. But then I ended up being at the children's hospital. And the interesting thing about it is, when I went in there, obviously, kids to be in that hospital are pretty sick, right? But kids are kids, and if they're not feeling bad on the day, they're just kids.
Yeah,
and it's like,
absolutely.
that's kind of like
so cool.
nice to see.
Absolutely.
And I guess if you're going to be in hospital, that's probably the way to do it, right? Like not really.
Absolutely.
But then I think sometimes it's the parents get a lot out of it as well, because they're there.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
no, it's just, I mean, it's something that, and I don't think that's a bad thing, that I take a lot out of as well. Like I get a lot out of it myself, seeing that. And
you can't not.
Yeah,
You can't leave there after doing, however much time. Usually ours is around 2 hours, but you can't leave there after 2 hours and not feel. It's almost selfish in a way.
Yeah, it kind of is, right?
You're like, and there's nothing. I mean, I don't know. There's not a lot to compare it to.
Yeah.
But it's a beautiful feeling, just knowing, seeing. I don't know, room to room, everyone's different situation, all stuff like that, and knowing whoever you interacted with, generally. They were in a better mood than when you walked in.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. That's so cool. That's
awesome.
it.
And that's I've kind of written about it a lot on the website, like how important music is.
Sure.
And nothing shows it better. And I know at the minute that musicians on call they're really pushing for new volunteers and things like that. So I mean, I would say, and I'm sure you would echo it, that like, it's something that is great. It's great for the people who hear the music. It's also great for the musicians and the guides, and that's not a bad thing to say that.
Absolutely.
I don't think,
you get so much out of it personally, man. Like, absolutely. It's been an amazing thing to be a part of. And again, I can't believe it's almost been 10 years now, but like, and just so when they stopped doing it back in 2020, when we started back earlier this year, I want to say it was March or April this year.
Yeah.
You forget.
Yeah.
And then
forget how much.
how much it affects you on the other side. Like, when I left after that first one, man, it was crazy, man. I don't even know how to describe it, man. It was really, really beautiful, and I've preached it to all of my friends that play here in Nashville, man. You should do this. You know what I mean? Like, and there's been some that have taken me up on it, and they've had incredible experiences as well. And so you love to see that, just because. There's no way to really describe it unless someone goes and does it.
Unless you go and do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you're doing something great. And it's I've done the same in Chicago with like all my friends there, and it's it really is an amazing thing. So I'll leave you with one final question. What's your go-to song if you've got to go in a room and really cheer someone up?
Well, that's a good question. So there's a set approved list of songs. So it's not just any song in the world. It Lasts by Etta James is always a popular one, especially if it's a husband and wife, that sort of thing. That's always, and there's been some powerful moments with that. I told you with the trumpet player on that one, but that one's great. That's Alright Mama's a fun one. Proud Mary by CCR.
Proud Mary's a great that's going to be a good one.
Definitely. I'd say, man, one of those three are usually my favorite, but there's a few others that I throw in the rotation as well, and they're always all a lot of fun to play. Otherwise, I wouldn't pick those. But they're all great, man. And it's been really, really fun to be back in the rooms now. I mean, getting to see the people face to face, and just even see how excited the nurses and the attendants and everyone that are in there. It's crazy. We'll walk in and they get all excited, and then you're like, well, all right then.
It's nice, cool. And it's like, and that's the other thing, and I think it's worth giving a shout out here, because the thing I thought about it, I remember the first time I did it at the hospital that I work at. I went in there and we did this great thing, and it is a great thing. Going in and doing that and playing this music for people in there. And then I looked at the nurses in there and I'm like, man, you guys are here every day for like probably 16 hours a day.
Long shifts,
and you're doing it all the time. So like those guys deserve a big shout out.
Oh, absolutely, man. Absolutely. It's right. We see a very brief glimpse of what they do every single day.
And hopefully it helps them. I know some of the nurses come and listen when we do it.
Absolutely, absolutely, man. It's always cool to hear that from them as well. Then when you're walking out and the nurses and thank you as well, you're like, awesome, man. That makes you feel so good.
I mean, treat this as a public service announcement. Musicians on Call are looking for volunteers. You know, Drew's telling you, I'm telling you, it's an amazing experience. So,
absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Drew, thanks so much. We'll link to your socials and everything as well, so people can come and check you out because, you're a great musician.
Oh, thanks, man. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm trying to get better. You know, that's all. That's all.
Thanks so much.
Absolutely, man.
Thanks, mate.